pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Auto Club Speedway, now a track of immortality here for the Racers Elite Nextgen Cup Series out west. One race after this one is remaining in the chase. Drivers for this race here at Auto Club Speedway are extremely confident. The championship race between Corey Crowell and Braden Puffenbarger is very close, separated by only 8 points. We have an extremely fast speedway where the draft is going to play a factor, tire wear, as well as multi-groove racing here in Auto Club. My name's Jonathan Leach. Joining me in the booth tonight is Daniel Paulus for another great one. And Daniel, we've only got 2 more races remaining to wrap up this season. Drivers like Corey Crowell, Andrew Teft, Jeremy Carter, Josh Neal, Braden Puffenbarger, Honeycutt, and others are getting ready to battle the high banks here to see who's going to continue on and have a chance at this championship next week.
Well, last week we did have drivers going every which direction at Talladega Superspeedway. That was their one chance to get that victory. to get more points in this playoffs. But now we're at Auto Club, and we know the playoffs are coming to an end very, very quickly. And all these playoff drivers, I'm going to expect to see them all inside the top 10, fighting for every position. They're going to use that draft no matter what, because they are going to try to get around each driver every single lap. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 3 wide later on.
Well, this track can support 3 wide right from the get-go, as it's super wide in the turn number 1 and turn number 3. We're going to turn our attention to Brandon Puffenbarger, who currently has the fastest qualifying lap of the night at a 40.37. He's going to be your pole sitter, unless Alex Teft, who is on track right now, he just finished his lap, is going to beat him. So Brandon Puffenbarger is going to be your pole sitter. We're going to take a moment to show today's current point situation. Give me just a couple moments and we'll bring the points up. While we're working on pulling the points up, we're going to go ahead and show tonight's race information. And again, this is out west. It's Auto Club Motor Speedway, a track that's going to live in immortality here on iRacing, as the track has changed, Daniel. So it really is quite great that this racetrack can live on here, you know, and looking forward to this great one.
Well, yeah, I mean, the NASCAR and everybody in real life had great experiences here at the Auto Club at the 2 Mile Oval. Now it's no longer going to be a 2 Mile Oval. It's going to be converted into a short track, just like Bristol and Martinsville, where we're going to have flat front and back straightaways like Martinsville, banking like Bristol. So that's going to be very exciting to see in the near future, but it's never going to die here in iRacing, which is very good because they use multi grooves here, all different lines, and that's what brings the excitement here. And I'm just ready to get these engines fired, you know, kick off, get this green flag rolling, see who's going to be up there in the front, but I also want to see who's going to be watching their tire wear.
And, you know, and we got the driver championship standings point up right now. Thanks for the information, Daniel. Corey Crowell is the points leader with Brandon Puffenbarger only 8 behind him. Zach Lockett is a little further away, but 2,112 points. And once you get back to Brandon Honeycutt, 4th, 5th on back, these guys are starting to have a lot of ground to make up. Honeycutt and Teft and Carter, they need to make 20 points or more up. I don't think drivers like Alex Teft, Joshua Neal, or Austin Smith are going to be able to catch them. But you never know. Crazy things can happen, and we might just see something interesting happen. Drivers are on pit road getting ready to start their pace lap, and that gives us plenty of time now for the race information. So again, this is Auto Club Speedway. We're out in California. It's in Fontana, California. It's an oval configuration. It's exactly 2 miles in diameter. Track temperature is 90 degrees. Now with the grid up and drivers rolling, Brandon Puffenbarger and Zach Lockett make up row number 1, and row 2 is Corey Crowell and Gordon Spain. So you've already got some contenders in the top 2 rows. Dennis Kane and Michael Brooks make up row number 3. Row 4 is Kinsley Smith and Brandon Honeycutt, more playoff drivers. Ruth Hoke and John Schoenbachler, row 5. Jeremy Carter will be starting 11th. Alex Teft starting 12th. Continuing on down the list of drivers, Noah Tansman and Marshall Harris, 13th and 14th respectively. Andrew Teth, Dakota Blake, they're going to be row number 8. Row 9 is Michael Smith and Thomas Stanley. Row 10 is Austin Smith and Joshua Neal, which you spoke to Joshua Neal pre-race, and we'll get to that later. And then you got Brandon Sanfilippo and Dwayne McMahon is going to round out the field. Daniel, we're getting ready for a great one. Those pace lights are out, and it's about time to get going here at Auto Club Speedway. I'm going to give you the start tonight because I think you're going to have a lot of fun as these drivers fan out the 3 ride right into turn number 1.
Well, we have the 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger winning the pole here tonight. On the outside of him is the 93 Zach Lockett. Drivers in their racing suits getting ready to go. Green flags in the air, and we're underway from Auto Club.
At 22 drivers now on track as the top 4 going into turn number 1. Look at that right there. The 3 wide fan already starting. I'd take that back. I spoke too soon. Corey Crowd's going to hang on to the inside of Zach Lockett right there. So 2 playoff drivers there. A little surprised Brandon Puffenbarger's paint's not showing that green, depicting him as a playoff driver, but you can see it right now on the timing tower as he's in the lead in that number 5 Toyota. Further back behind him, we got a huge gaggle, which is what Auto Club Speedway is known for. Drivers just struggle to get away from each other on starts and restarts at this track, and things get hairy real quick. You can't let that wide track fool you, because these cars are already going 196 miles per hour. Everything is twitchy, and anything can go wrong.
Looking for some 3 wide action here. I'm gonna start looking for that, but you're seeing these drivers using that side draft going down the back straightaway right now. There's the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt, currently in the playoffs, just outside the top 5. I'm looking for him to have a solid night here tonight.
We got some really great cameras here for Auto Club Speedway. We got cameras in turn 3 entry, turns 3 and 4, and the exit, as well as the front stretch camera, as we can see right here as these drivers come on by. So we're going to really be able to show some dynamic angles today as we're going to ride on board now with Zach Lockett as he's running a higher groove than our leader Brandon Puffenbarger. Onto the backstretch, we're on lap number 3. We talked to some of these drivers earlier. A lot of them are feeling extremely confident, especially the playoff drivers, and they recognize that Auto Club is a difficult racetrack. The car changes often, and you've got to be prepared for it. But these guys are ready. They've been going all season, waiting to get down to these moments. Drivers like Puffenbarger, Lockett, Spain, Crow, Kinsley Smith, these guys know how to perform. As once again, the top 10 is made up of 7 playoff drivers and only 3 that are not, which is they're all together actually. Michael Brooks, Kane, and Smith. But there's going to be a lot of position changing in this group right here, Daniel. This group of guys just cannot get away from each other.
Nope.
Look at that 3 wide racing right there between Marshall, Austin Smith, John Schoenbachler. Wild Willies right there. Is that what that says? Wide Willies or Wild Witties?
Well, you want to be extremely careful here, Auto Club. Even if you're going to go 4 wide, you're going to have to narrow that down when you're going into a turn. But you see these drivers, they're on each other's bumpers literally right now. You see the 32 all over the 9 of Joan Schoenbachler right now. And you see drivers using different groups right now. But the one thing, I know that the playoffs are starting to come to an end. We're getting to that finale pretty soon. You do not want to make any mistakes. And last week we saw some mistakes out of these playoff drivers, and that's what I don't want to see happen here tonight.
No, and you know, at this point, I don't think this is really a mistake-happy racetrack. There's going to be some incidents on track, drivers getting close together, you know, once the tires start to go away more so. But really, the biggest thing here is pit road entry can fool you. People get caught all the time speeding in the pit road because you just carry more speed off turn 4 than you're expecting. And really, we should be able to show that right there. That's the wrong pit lane cam right there, but it can be awfully tricky when you're trying to get into it as you got a lone car in the back out there. Not quite sure. Dwayne McMahon in that number 87 Toyota. He's a little further back from the field, but it's worth mentioning as you see him come around right here. Hopefully we'll get a good angle of it. And not quite, but pit road entry is pretty much right off the racetrack. So you have to really get slowed up. And if you're not ready for it, it'll come out, it'll surprise you, I should say. And it just kind of causes a mess, I would say. Daniel, but you did get to interview a couple of these drivers. We're on lap 7 of 100. Give us a quick synopsis of maybe someone like what Joshua Neal was talking about, or as far as how the track's going to drive today.
Yeah, so I did interview a few drivers here tonight just before qualifying got started, and I talked to Joshua Neal, the 82 machine, and he says, I asked him what lines will he be using, and he says he's going to use all lines no matter what. He's going to be using that low, middle, and high groove, and he's not afraid to do anything. And secondly, I asked him, how is the grip at Auto Club? Because I know this tire wear does come into play at Auto Club. And he had to say, well, the grip lasts longer than the Xfinity cars, and it takes around 2 to 3 laps till that grip starts to come in, and you start running faster laps once you get that grip going. And I asked him what was his expectations, and he says, well, the tire wear is the game tonight. Whoever saves their tires is going to have the best out of their car tonight. So you're going to want to be very cautious on your tires. You don't want to be using that up, because if you start doing that and you lost your tire wear, you're going to start falling backwards, and that's not what you want as a playoff driver, or a regular driver in that case.
And some of the information that I was hearing, Daniel, pre-race was that the high line here wears tires out significantly faster than running more of the diamond style approach, as far as running high and then coming down low into the corner. So it's worth noting that drivers might want to stay away from running the high lane, but they're going to inevitably push out there as the tires begin to wear. We're starting to get spread out a little bit aside from this group of guys: Alex Teft, Austin Smith, and Joshua Neal. And I just take that back because I'm just completely wrong on that statement. You've got a group of 4 drivers right here that's made up of Dennis Kane, Marshall Harris, Sean Bachler, as well as Kinsley Smith. And the Joshua Neal group is really just they're right there with them. So lots of drivers together right now. This guy's got a great view in the house right here. You're going to see the leader come out of turn number 4, Daniel, and as he's going to come right down the front stretch. And you see a great look at the field right here, showing just how spread out these drivers are.
Well, once they do start getting spread out, that's the problem here at Auto Club. You got to start using that draft no matter what, because that's your only chance to increase your speed, increase the potential for yourself to pass the driver in front of you. And I'm going to expect to see some drivers, if they are spread out and they start using that draft, when they get up to the driver, which lane do they use? Do they go to the bottom to try to pass, or do they use that high line and try to get around the driver, get that good corner exit so they can get past them? That is what we're looking for.
Well, you know, we're on lap 12 of 100. Race time's only been 7 minutes and 40 seconds. These guys are making great time with speeds of 190 miles per hour. It's hard to recognize anything else, as we've had a change now for the lead. You just saw Corey Corral, driver of the number 20 Toyota, get by Brandon Puffenbarger. Let's not forget that Corey Corral is the points leader, and Puffenbarger trailed him by 8 points coming into this race. He made up 1 point by taking the pole position, and right now, so he made up 1 point just by being in the pole position, but you're not going to make up ground when you're behind him. Granted, there's still 86.5 laps left in this one. Current fastest lap time in the field belongs to Zach Lockett with a 40:18. The driver of the number 93 Tennessee Titans machine never fails. He always has that on there. He just ran the fastest lap of the race at a 40.18. Ruth Hoke's already come down pit road. He came down on lap number 9. I'm not sure what it was for. The driver of the 59 is currently running P22 as he's looking to the inside of the 48 of Dakota Bly. Ruth Hoke, I'm not sure if he had trouble, but he's on pit road for 18.3 seconds. So he could have had some kind of sim issue that he had to fix, and it was worth going a lap down. Back to the front, you got quite the race here. 4 drivers, Daniel. Puffenbarger's taking the spot back over, but, you know, it could really be any one of these top 4.
It can be anybody's race, but when you have a group of cars, you don't even know where to look at, because, you know, they are using all different grooves. You know, you could have 2 drivers on the bottom, 1 on top, or vice versa. So you got to keep your eye peeled here. And it looks like the top 4, top 5, they're pulling away just a little bit. But watch this 93 Zach Lockett as he goes into turn number 1 here. Does he go high? Yes, he does. Is he going to get that good corner exit? Well, you're about to find out.
You know, and these guys just not able to really separate here on lap 15. And, you know, the lap times have not fallen off that much in 15 laps. They're down about 4 to 5 tenths of a second, not much more than that. So, you know, rather, you know, I'm surprised. You know, track temperature is 90 degrees. I lost my train of thought for a minute. I thought that the fall off would be a lot more. So you got 3 wide back here with Marshall Harris, Austin Smith, and
yeah.
Kingsley Smith, as well as Joshua Neal chasing that group of 3, you know, at the start finish line into turn number 1. And this just has a lot to do with showing you just how wide this racetrack is. As you got trouble right there. Marshall Harris getting real loose coming out turn 4.
Whoa.
When I was talking to the Midwest Motorsports guys, they said your right rear tire is going to get worn down quickly, and you're going to start seeing guys sliding out of the corners. And we might have just seen that right there with Marshall Harris. And a little bit of a wall touch. Go ahead, Daniel.
When I was talking to these drivers, John, these drivers were talking about the bumps and how it makes their car very, very loose. So they said they're going to start running where the patches are. I don't know why, but I think that's where they said that's the fastest line right now. If you just stay where the patches are, and you can see that with the 32 of Harris just going over those patches. It looks like gets loose in front of the 82 Joshua Neal, and he saves it.
You know, we've got battles all over the track. A great one for the lead. And then, of course, back there with those drivers. And then just, you know, just outstanding. Again, back here, these guys are right next to each other. And you can go even further back with Thomas Stanley and Brandon Honeycutt. This is for the 14th position. Trying to overtake, Brandon Honeycutt. And there's a lapped machine in that group right there. But just all over the place. A little bit further back, Dakota Bly trying to get into this one. Brandon Sanfilippo's here. Noah Tansman kind of running by himself back in 20th. Back here to around the 10th place position now.
Working their way around the track here, going on lap 19 out of 100. And if we do go green, this is going to be a very, very fast race. You see right there the 4 of Dennis Kane running that middle groove right now. But I mean, that's where most of these drivers are running right now. You see a few of them up there trying that high groove. I did see that the orange and black car. I don't know who it was, but I saw them very close to that outside wall. And if you tap that outside wall, John, you're going to lose a lot of speed. And right there, you saw the 3 of Gordon Spain. Just get a little bit loose. Nothing to worry. Just got to refocus and get back into it.
There's another driver impacting the wall a little bit. I think that was Dakota Bly. That's going to happen when these tires wear out of turn number 4. You get a bad entry into turn 4, and you can't carry your speed, and you want to carry your speed all the way through. But when you try to do that, you just end up meeting the wall coming out of turn 4 on the front stretch. 3 wide right there. That's with a couple drivers. Truth Hoke was involved. It wasn't all for position. It was just 3 drivers happening to be 3 wide. So we're coming to lap 21. We're going to take our first break of the evening, and we're going to be right back, and we're going to discuss how the season has gone for some of these drivers while we're on this long green flag run awaiting pit stops. We'll be right back.
Good evening, sim racing media fans. We are live here from Auto Club Speedway. Here on lap 25, has been running green ever since the start. And you see right there the 3 of Gordon Spain closing in on the 93, Zach Lockett. Alongside me in the broadcast booth is Jonathan Leach. And Jonathan, we've been in here for a heck of a start here at Auto Club. These playoff drivers are using different lines. What's the expectations knowing that this thing could run green?
So, we don't expect anything less here with the Racers Elite Cup Series, as you're following the lead group of drivers trading positions back and forth. Gordon Spain just now getting around Corey Crowell. He'd been a little further back in this group, slowly maybe working the tire strategy as he moves up to P2 now. It's nothing that we didn't expect from these guys. A little further back, the field is starting to spread out, but there's pockets of racing instead of just a large group. You've got Joshua Neal running 9th. Just in front of him is Andrew Teff, looking to have a great evening. A little bit further back, you've got a group of Dennis Kane, Sean Bachler, and Jeremy Carter. Carter being in this group, Carter is the playoff driver of that group, trying to get to the front. Only driver in the top 10 right now, or that just changed a second ago. Dennis Kane running 10th now. But Michael Brooks and Dennis Kane are the only drivers in the top 10 that are not playoff cars on lap 27. But I know we must be quickly approaching green flag pit stops.
Well, speaking of green flag pit stops, I'm sure they will come down pit road. They're going to get some 4 Goodyear tires and a splash of Sunoco fuel. But these drivers, the anticipation is up for these playoff drivers. They know that the postseason is going to be coming down to an end very, very quickly. Championship is on the line. I mean, if one thing goes wrong here at Auto Club, that could put them in a big hole, and that's all your effort put in from the regular season into the playoffs out the window just from one little instance. So you're going to want to be careful here at Auto Club. We've seen 3 wide action going on too. Drivers using that high line. See right there, a bunch of cars all just trying to follow each other around this track, using that side draft to get around each other. Just great racing going on all around. You see right there on the outside, right behind the 32 is the 13 of Brendan Puffenberger, but Brendan Honeycutt, and that 13 machine doing an excellent job here tonight. And there's the 14 and 45 battling in turn number 1.
So, I guess we really shouldn't be surprised, Daniel, as we're approaching lap number 30. The last track that we went to, similar-ish to this, being Michigan Motor Speedway, Austin Smith won the race. He missed the first race at Las Vegas for the playoffs. Alex Teft ended up placing P2. Puffenbarger was 3rd. So similar style track, sort of. Puffenbarger placed 3rd. He's leading right now. Corey Crowell had a 5th place finish. The race went green to checker. No cautions. And all but one driver in the playoffs finished outside of the top 12, and that was Andrew Teff with a 16th place finish.
Well, we might be in a very similar situation here tonight, John, where we could go green throughout this whole race. We're already on lap 30. Hasn't been that long since the start of this racing event, and I mean, the way these drivers perform week in, week out, they put on an excellent show because they race with respect, they race with dignity, and that's what everybody likes to see. A good race with good fellow friends around each other, and they know how these drivers race. You see right there, 62 Thomas Stanley slow on track. I'm not sure what quite happened there, but he's losing positions.
And we could talk about, I'm not sure, maybe he's preparing to come down pit road, but we'll find out in a moment. Let's talk about Thomas Stanley for a minute. Way back 2 months ago, almost exactly, at Indianapolis, this driver went for one whale of a wreck. He ended up catching the fence and flipping multiple times. I've never seen anything like that in iRacing. Here he is, still racing out here. And you just thought it was a crazy day that we saw happen whenever we were at Indianapolis. And it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, honestly.
It really doesn't.
And then a week later at Atlanta, Zach Lockett finished P2, had a good race. Another long, fast, super speedway style track. Zach Lockett running 4th right now. and he finished P2 that race. So we know Zach Lockett has speed for these types of racetracks. Other drivers had finished well. Diego Rodriguez, who I don't see here tonight,
Nope.
and Dwayne McMahon. And Dwayne McMahon's having a rough night tonight. He's running around 20. It just seems like he hasn't been able to quite figure out this racing surface tonight. And maybe we'll get an opportunity to talk to him and see what kind of situation that he's having, or the struggles for him. But he's just not having the night that he was looking for. Now battle for the lead once again. Puffenbarger, Corey Corral trading back and forth. We're coming to lap 34. And these guys have plenty of tires for this race. You know how many tires that they usually come into these races with. 5 total sets. You need 4 sets to change. You get a fast repair, 75% fuel, and of course we could try 3 times to finish this race at the end with 3 green-white checkers. So these guys are going to have plenty of fuel. Dennis Kane's going to be the first driver that comes down pit road. I felt like they were coming up shortly, and Dennis Kane is going to start green flag pit stops. And the fall off has been about 1.5 seconds for the average for the field. The top 5 guys have only had about 1.1 seconds of fall off. So the top 5 are quite a bit faster than the others. Here comes Brandon Puffenbarger, Corey Crowell, Michael Brooks, Austin Smith, Kinsley Smith, and Schoenbachler coming. The field is coming down pit road this time.
Speaking of these drivers, you see everybody here tonight, they've had a struggle. They had their ups and downs. You know, some of these drivers that haven't been up front for most of the season are wishing that the season was over so then they can start clean at Daytona. I mean, it's not the end of the night, but I mean, if it was me, I would stick it out, get to see how the track is so you're used to it. So when you come back next year or next season, you have a better idea of how the track will play out for you. See more drivers come down pit road, the 3 of Gordon Spain and the 93 of Zach Lockett here on lap 35.
Now, Brandon Puffenbarger comes in first, is going to leave first, separated by Corey Crowell by almost a second now. These top 5 guys, a little bit of separation. Puffenbarger had a slower pit stop than Corey Crowell, but still gathered a second on him. That leads Brandon Honeycutt to the lead. Brandon's Sanfilippo right there with him. Honeycutt, of course, in the 13. Sanfilippo in the 14 machine. Not sure how long those guys are going to stay out here, as Honeycutt just blinked back on track there. Dwayne McMahon still out. Here come 3 more drivers. One driver's in the grass, going to lock it up and hit that inside barrier. That's so.
I don't see any damage.
That's Sanfilippo. Yeah, man, he hit that pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he might have some right front damage there. I saw something there. I wasn't sure, but it doesn't look major, which is a good sign, but that could affect his aerodynamics back out on track in that draft. And
he did hit
I
that
wasn't
pretty
expecting
hard.
that.
Just, weird.
That was so weird. It was like a Kyle Larson at Homestead, but at Auto Club. We're just gonna have to see how his car performs after his pit stop. See right there, the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt now coming down pit road.
All right, one driver left out on track to pit. It's going to be Dwayne McMahon. Truth Hoke hasn't pitted yet, but he pitted on lap 9, if you remember. So as soon as, I guess, McMahon comes down, and he's coming down pit road this time around, I'm assuming Truth Hoke should be able to come around and get back on the lead lap here. Coming around right now. Honeycutt's still on pit road. No one's been on pit road for a long time. And Truth Hoke has unlapped himself. And he should be able to do that for about the next 20 laps. And stay on the lead lap, I would imagine. I'm not sure how far back he will be from the leader. You know, and I take that back. I'm still showing him a lap down. Perhaps he was 2 laps down, and I just had that wrong by mistake. So Brandon Puffenbarger has retaken over the lead. And Mr. Where did he come from? Why am I not surprised? Austin Smith now third, knocking on the door of Corey Crowell, his Midwest Motorsports teammate.
I'm gonna be frankly honest with you, John. I don't know where this 23 comes from, but no matter what, after pits, he's just up there in the lead. And once he's in the lead or he's up front, he's not gonna go away easy. He's gonna fight till the end, I would say. But he's had an amazing season so far. He missed the first playoff race of this season. He's bounced back with a win at Michigan. And the last 2-3 weeks, I mean, he's been ever since he's got that win, he's just not had the same speed in that car as I thought he would in these playoffs.
Well, you know what? So he missed, if I remember correctly, he missed Homestead.
Las Vegas.
Or no, you're right. It is Las Vegas. Wins at
Michigan.
Yeah, wins Michigan, and then it's Talladega. I don't remember if he got involved in something. I'll check back and look at our notes to see. But Andrew Tept won that one. David Emmy was second. Brandon Zimmerman was P2. And that was last week. So just he's got an uphill battle. I can put the points up on screen real fast, and you can see what we're looking like for Austin Smith. He's 2,072 points. He's almost 50 back. Well, really, he is 50 back. So he needs to make up a full race, and he pretty much has to win it. I think he might have got caught up in something last week. Unfortunately, it's not in the notes that you left. So I don't see it. It's about 23. He was involved in something with Marshall Harris with 17 laps to go. I'm not certain where exactly he finished with that, but obviously he didn't finish in the top 3.
No, he did get involved in an incident late in that race at Talladega, and he got collected, and that pretty much ended his chances to get inside the top 10 last week. But now he's gonna have to have an excellent race here tonight if he's gonna want to dig himself out of a hole to fight for a championship. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening. So he's put up a great battle this season, but right there is the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt, just in front of the 32 of Marshall Harris, running 12th, just outside the top 10, running at least 190 miles per hour, entering these turns, running around the lap times of 40:32 right now.
And, talk to some of these drivers pre-race, let them know that they should be expecting caution interviews, but we're approaching halfway, and I haven't even seen anything close to a caution tonight. So we may not get to talk to all these drivers at the rate that this race is going. Making excellent time, 30 minutes in, coming on 43, coming to lap 44 for Puffenbarger, who's got a 0.3 second lead over Corey Crowell, and about the same amount plus that on Austin Smith. Zach Lockett kind of locked in a grudge match here with Ford in Spain for the 4th place position. And then you've got the top 7 are all playoff cars. And then you're going to have Dennis Kane and John Schoenbachler, and then Joshua Neal after that. Take a look at the driver at number 82, Joshua Neal, another playoff car. He's right behind him is Jeremy Carter, and he's trying to race down John Schoenbachler, just right there in front of him, 0.3 seconds for that 9th place position. Put the point situation back on for you to show you where Joshua Neal stands. He's 11th currently with 2093. So he's not. He could still recover from this. He would have to win the next 2 races, I think, and have some help. But it's plausible. But for Austin Smith, I don't think he's really. I think he's pretty much out of it. It's also worth mentioning Brad Hayes is not here tonight. I don't see that driver. So that 7th place car, he's gone. Kinsley Smith is 2103, currently running the 6th place position right there. So really I think the race is between the top, let's call it the top 5. Maybe
I
top
would say
6.
top 5, yeah.
At top 6, you can throw Jeremy Carter into the mix, but Jeremy Carter is going to have to finish better than 11th in this race if he wants to stay in the mix. But right after this race, I mean, we'll be able to tell you who your contenders really are. And this is an old school chase format. Most points wins. You're not going into an elimination race where you basically have to win it, winner take all.
Yep.
But we're gonna know at the end of this one who the guys are gonna be, and really what it's gonna take, just about give or take, in order for you to be crowned champion for this series. And it's unfortunate. I'm going to have to watch this race. I'm not going to get to call this race. I'll be away for annual training, my annual military training that I have to do. And I'm not going to get to be here for the championship. So instead, I'm going to have to watch you guys have a blast calling this one. But it'll be nice to be a spectator and getting to enjoy it instead of having to work through it at the same time.
Well, I'm sure we'll put on a great performance here for the championship finale to crown our Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series champion. See right there, the 23 of Austin Smith has pressure on that high line with the 5 of Brand Puffenbarger. He has that draft, and he is sniffing all over that 23. Is he going to make a move down into turn number 3? That is the question. He's going to the outside. He's going to the outside. He's going to side draft 23. Is he going to get the run off of turn number 4? And they're going to be side by side coming down the front straightaway, dead even at the line.
And again, of course, they're all chasing Corey Crow, who's back to the front of this track. And man, gosh, new lap times are being set now. Austin Smith has set a 39.77, and Corey Crow just lower than that at a 37.9. So these drivers have got this track figured out, and they're only getting faster, folks. I want to thank you for being here for this race with the Racers Elite Next Gen Series. Really phenomenal that you're here. Absolutely adore that you're here week in and week out. There's always a fantastic crowd here as drivers are crossing the line. And back here for 10th, still battling Jeremy Carter, Joshua Neal. Carter getting by Neal. I'm sure he's listening to me say he can't finish in 11th if he wants to have a shot at this. He's going to have to get up to the top 3. But, Austin Smith playing spoiler here. He's taking valuable points away from other drivers. Valuable points away.
At 23 is looking to have another run here on the 5 of Bram Puffenbarger. There he goes to the inside. He is now side by side on the quarter panel with the 5 machine. And they're just going to still be side by side going in turn number 1. Who has the edge here? 23 is going to have to slow down just a little bit, but man, that 5 is going to get that run off the corner. And it looks like the 23 is going to have the edge here. And man, are they closing in on our leader, Corey Carell.
And other battles that are equally close right here. Gordon Spain, Zach Lockett still with each other under 0.3 of a second. Further back, other drivers within about 0.5 second of each other, way further back. That battle for 10th still between Jeremy Carter and Joshua Neal. And if you want to get even more interesting, Brandon Sanfilippo and Thomas Stanley, 2 lap drivers. This is kind of the closest competition for the 18th place position. And currently Dwayne McMahon's the lucky dog car. These guys are quite a ways away from him. McMahon trying to hang on to that position in case anything comes out. Anything coming out, of course, being a caution.
Doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. You see right here, we're on lap 52, going on lap 53, past halfway at this point. And we're just 40 minutes into this race, and man, what a performance these drivers are putting on right now. We want to thank everybody here on Sim Racing Media, from our producers to our commentators to our race fans that are here watching this great race going on. And let me tell you, there's going to be a whole lot more of great racing going on in whole different series too, so check those out on Sim Racing Media's YouTube channel, and buy some merch on our Sim Racing Media website. Searing right there, 20th, Corey Carell still leading the pack here, going on lap 54, going 190 miles per hour into turn number 1.
You know, normally we try to cover the rest of the field, but you know, the action's just stayed up front all 54 laps. There's never been one driver that's really taken control of this race. It's been Corey Corral, Puffin Barger, Zach Lockett, Gordon Spain, and Austin Smith snuck into the mix after the green flag pit stops. He's up 16 positions on the race. If he gets 2 more, he'll be in the lead, and he'll come ever closer to being a contender next week. But if you can't win the championship, why not go out with a bang and win the final 2?
Hey, a win is a win, right, John? I mean, I'd rather win if I know I can't win the championship.
Always playing spoiler. Sean Bachler, Dennis Kane, this is the battle for 8th. Under 0.2 of a second, 191 miles per hour for each of them. Running around the track at around the 40.5 second mark for these drivers. Just about a 10th slower than our leaders are presently running. 45 machine Michael Smith, the driver we haven't talked much about. He's up 3 positions since the start of this one. Started 17th, now running 14th. Trying to chase down Brandon Honeycutt in the number 13 machine, who fallen back since the start of this one. He's back 5 positions. He's hoping to recover perhaps in the next round of green flag pit stops. And you know, but the field is tight. The top 7 drivers right now are in the playoffs. Somebody else worth mentioning having trouble. Alex Teft is off the racing surface in that 43. I don't know what happened, but he's off the racing surface, scored P22.
Very, very interesting to see that. Didn't expect that out of that driver tonight from Auto Club. Was expecting for him to have a good run.
So here he is, back around lap
here.
36. He entered pit road. A little loose right there. And then I show that he comes back on the pit road at lap 37.
I don't see any damage on the car.
Nothing seemed out of shape there. So back on pit road, lap 37. And I don't know. I'm not sure if there was a penalty situation involved, but definitely was not damage based for why he's not on track any further. It's worth mentioning he did have an uphill battle. He had a really rough race early. He recovered the first race. He just had a terrible finish. He hung in there, ran it with a damaged car. Remember, a fluke accident on the start. He got collected twice. Took a lot of damage.
Yes.
Did not finish last because he hung in there. Then he had a good recovery the second race of the playoffs. But ultimately, it just wasn't enough. You know, it just wasn't quite enough.
Hey, as long as you try your best, you're pretty much good. These drivers, I mean, nothing has been changing here inside the top 5. Everybody's still running single file clean, using different lines. But I mean, when's the next time they're going to come down pit road? I'm probably going to say within the next 10, 15 laps. And that could be the finish of our pit cycle for tonight, John. Unless a caution does decide to come out, but I don't see that happening anytime soon because these top 4 drivers, they have pulled away from the rest of the field.
You know, I still think as the drivers are passing that 48 machine, that's Dakota Bly, and pulling to the inside, letting them come through, because this battle for the lead is never ending. We're still going to pit one more time, Daniel, and that's probably going to decide this race. I'm curious to see if the top 3, top 4, top 5 are going to kind of stay together, or if it's just going to be these 3 as this race goes on.
And when these drivers do come down to get their final service for the stop here tonight from Atlanta, I don't want to see any crucial mistakes at the speeding off pit road, speeding in pit road, missing your pit box. Definitely, you don't want that to happen. So, I mean, you gotta be right on the dot when it comes to your final pit stop, because I have seen it before in this league where, you know, you come in as a leader, you could come out second or you could come out mid pack and not get a caution, and that could ruin your top 10, top 5, even a win. So, I mean, you just got to be on your A game for that, and hopefully it goes your way.
We'll just have to see. You know, there's no real way to know, as we're under 40 laps to go in this race. Again, making outstanding time, as Austin Smith is going to bump Corey Crowell's Midwest Motorsports teammate and say, hey man, maybe I'm a little faster than you, but I can't seem to drive around you, so what are we going to do about that? Look a little further back here. Dennis Kane, John Schoenbachler still running for the 8th place position between those two drivers. Joshua Neal, Jeremy Carter. This battle's getting closer. It was about a half second apart. Now it's only about a car length apart. Brandon Honeycutt starting to close in on those guys, as well as Marshall Harris trying to get involved. But that's a rough corner for him, as he's going to impact the wall right there, parallel with pit lane. Speaking of pit lane, drivers came in on lap 34. You know, if they came in on lap 34, they might be coming around lap 68. But is anybody going to want to be first? Austin Smith and Corey Crowell. You know, Corey Crowell not giving an inch here for Austin Smith. Not even willing to let his teammate by. You know, that might be the end for them, though, if he does get by, because he often does not look back.
Well, are we going to see drivers using different strategy here for the final pit stop? Are we going to see drivers inside the top 5 maybe stretch it out a little bit and then come down pit road, or are they actually going to be the first ones coming down pit road and see what everybody else does? But I mean, if we see one driver come down pit road, I expect them all to come down pit road no matter what. But I mean, the thing is, do you stretch it out, or do you come in right away when you know other drivers are going to be coming in at the same time as you?
You've got to go. I feel like once the pit lane window opens, you really need to come down pit road, in my opinion, because you could just lose too much time on track. A second-ish a lap. Jeremy Carter, Joshua Neal just come down pit road. They were 30 seconds behind the lead, so I don't expect that to bring the leaders out for those two drivers. But that should bring drivers like Dennis Kane, John Schoenbachler, maybe Andrew Teff. Drivers like that should come down pit road soon. Braden Honeycutt, Marshall Harris, Michael Smith, guys that were in the same proximity as Joshua Neal and Jeremy Carter, because they're going to be making up time with these fresh tires, and both of them had very fast pit stops. Here comes Kinsley Smith.
I couldn't agree anymore, John. And the Auto Club has proven to us that it does perform very well, and we are seeing that here tonight. And these laps are winding down very, very quickly. These drivers know they need to stomp on the gas and start moving, because if they don't, you're not going to get the finishing result you want. But as long as you try your best, I feel it'll be fun.
And here they come down, the leaders. Brandon Puffenbarger, Corey Crowell, Austin Smith all come down at the same time. Zach Lockett's going to follow them. He's going to, oh man, I thought he was destined for that inside barrier. There's Gordon Spain right there as well. Andrew Teff stays out. He's going to assume the race lead right now. Now Andrew Teff, new leader. How long is he going to stay out? Puffenbarger slides into his stall with no problem. Seems to be the same for Corey Crowell. Lockett coming in right behind, or right between them. He enters as Puffenbarger's jack comes down for the right side, goes up for the left side. Here comes Corey Crowell. Who's going to win off pit road? Crowell's going to beat Puffenbarger out. Who's got the guts? Crowell is going to just edge Puffenbarger, but they're right there together. You know, and Austin Smith close there. You know, this is what we're talking about. Would they be able to separate?
Yeah.
They didn't. They did not get
I mean, you're
separated.
gonna have to keep a close eye on these three right now, because these are the only three that could have a potential here to win the race here tonight. But the 6 of Andrew Teff won last week at Talladega, and he said he's very confident coming into Auto Club. And right now, I mean, he's trying his best. Here, there,
Oh
26 Jeremy Carter, the
no!
20.
He
Oh
must have been
no! Did the
speeding
20
out.
get a penalty?
20 coming down pit
Oh.
road. The only thing I can think of is a penalty. This is costly. Daniel, this could be the championship right now. He's going to fall all the way back to, oh man, at least 15th with only 30 laps remaining.
This is what I was talking about, John. You do not want to make any mistakes, and that is very unfortunate for the 20 of Corey Carell dominating once out front, and no recovery from that at all here tonight. We're gonna have to see how that shakes up. Very unfortunate for the 20. I can't believe that happened to him, but right now we have a new race leader, somebody that's not the 20.
Well, still Andrew Teff, and Puffenbarger is currently 5th. It's going to cycle through to him once Michael Smith, Marshall Harris, Honeycutt, and Teff come down pit road. Corey Corral's 21st. Still on pit road. 42 seconds, 43 seconds. That was a 40-second stop for speeding. 21st place for Corey Corral.
Not looking good at all.
I think he's 2 laps down. I don't think he's going to recover from that.
Not unless 2 cautions come out. I don't see any solution to that. And here comes the 6 of Andrew Teff, giving up the lead, come down pit road right now, and he is good.
Corral is 2 laps down. Austin Smith got around Brandon Puffenbarger now. So Austin Smith is going to take over the lead once Brandon Honeycutt chooses to come down pit road. I can't imagine he's going to stay out too much longer. Corey Corral usually is texting or has this phone available, but I imagine he's a little bit frustrated after what just happened. I'm sure we'll hear at some point post-race where he thinks he went wrong, but I can only imagine it was when they were exiting. And so when they were exiting just a few laps ago, right here, oh, that was the further, that one was further on back. I apologize. It was right here. You can watch these tires drop. Time consuming there. He speeds up quite a bit to get by Brandon Puffenbarger.
I wonder how much faster he went.
Couldn't have been by too much. The Honeycutt now down pit road. That's going to allow Austin Smith to retake over the lead. The battle for the race lead is now a 2-car race between Austin Smith and Puffenbarger. It's so odd that a race contender is the one that takes himself out of contention. Now it's just going to be Smith, Puffenbarger. Kinsley Smith will be the 3rd car in line, 8.5 seconds back. Gordon Spain 3 seconds behind him. And then you got to get back here to the battle with Dennis Kane, Dwayne McMahon. So remember when Dennis Kane short pitted everybody? Pitted a little bit earlier than his peers around him that waited. You know, here he is now in 5th. It worked out for him. Same thing with Joshua Neal. He pitted earlier than everybody else. He picked up a couple spots. He moved up to 8th. But more importantly, as here comes McMahon down pit road, more importantly, Joshua Neal picked up ground on drivers like John Schoenbachler and Dennis Kane. He's closer to them, which means he's within striking distance of them. The downside is that his tires are 5 laps older.
Yeah, that's That's a big difference here at Auto Club, especially. And you know, these drivers, they feel frustrated when they're put in that situation there. When you're on old tires, there's nothing you can do. But you see, I mean, imagine if the 23 of Austin Smith wins this race, a Cinderella story, and he wins this race. I mean, in my opinion, I wouldn't have picked the 23 to win this race after what I saw out of the 20 of Corey Carell. But I mean, what happened with Corey Carell, now I could see the 23 win if he can hold off the 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger. But you saw earlier in this race, Brandon Puffenbarger, he has been using different lines, been side drafted very aggressively to get around other drivers. And I mean, I don't know if he's waiting right now for the right opportunity, John, but I would keep a close eye on that 5 because I have a feeling he can make a last lap pass if he is close enough.
So when I was talking to drivers pre-race, they mentioned that Brandon Puffenbarger is probably going to be the guy to beat. He stayed up front the entire race. Austin Smith did drive up there to meet him, but Puffenbarger had the pole. He's been up there this whole race. He doesn't have to be leading right now. He very well could be biding his time, using a little bit of the draft off of Austin Smith, conserving his tires, and just staying within striking distance. And we'll know more as this race comes on, or as this run goes on. That lapped machine's going to quickly hop out of the way right there. Want to focus our attention back to Corey Crowell. He's climbed up to 18th. He's back only 1 lap down. He's got to get all the way to Truth Hoke. And Michael Smith coming down the front stretch. Corey Corral are into turn 1. Or no, excuse me, Michael Smith is right there, cross start finish line. Corey Corral is in turn number 2. He has a long way to go to get to the free pass car. However, if the caution comes out, these drivers, again, they have 4 sets of tires that they can put on. I would anticipate everybody on the lead lap to put on 4 tires, which should allow Corey Crowell to get back onto the lead lap. And if he can get back onto the lead lap, even if it's tail end of the longest line, he's got a chance because he's got speed. But he's going to need some help. I'd like to see the C's part and bail him out of this one. But if he's not in contention next week, this will be the mistake that cost him. You can be fantastic all year, all season, but mistakes with 1 race, 2 races left for the championship, you know, can end it all in a heartbeat.
It could end very, very soon if that were to happen. You see right there the 4 of Dennis Kane, currently inside the top 5, and man, he is putting on a clinic here tonight, John. Seen him going into turn number 3 with the 9 of John Schoenbachler, and the 4 moves high. He is now going to let the 9 go by.
Daniel, I'm speechless, man. You said that Brandon Puffenbarger's been putting on a clinic. And just a couple moments ago, he said that Austin Smith was too fast to be beat. So how is he putting on a clinic if he's racing for the lead right now?
I mean, look at them. They're side by side going down the front straightaway. I don't even know what driver to look at right now because they look like they're running the same amount of speed, which they probably are. But the 23 has the advantage over the 5, and he is using that top groove. That 5 is going to try to get a good corner exit here going down the back straightaway. But the question is, can he get past the 23? We're on lap 81, laps winding down very quickly here, folks. This is it. Can the 5 get a draft here? You see right there the 59 Truth Hope coming down pit road, currently P15.
Now that's good for Corey Crowell because that's going to give Corey Crowell another position. Corey Crowell won't have to pit, so that's going to get him to at least 17th. Now he might be able to chase down Dwayne McMahon. He's got 4 seconds to McMahon and then 2.5 more seconds to Brandon Sanfilippo for 15th. He has to get those positions, and he's only got 19 laps to do it. The good news He is
Yes.
0.3 of a second faster than both of those guys. So quick math tells me that he should get close. He may not get all the way there, but he should get close. He should catch Dwayne McMahon. Brandon Sanfilippo is going to be a tougher stretch, I might add.
Time is going to tell, but these two are not giving up here, John. They are closer than ever once again, going into turn number 1, and one little mistake and another driver could get by very easily here. But I mean, these drivers putting on a clinic. I mean, they're probably going to be doing this back and forth until the very end to see who gets it out in front. You see right there, the 82 of Joshua Neal. Spoke to him earlier. He is very confident here at Auto Club. He said he's also looking for a top 10, which he is inside the top 10 here tonight. So if he can just keep going the way he's going, I'm sure he'll get a top 10. But right behind him, we have the 26 of Jeremy Carter. Also doing very well here tonight. Currently 9th, just inside the top 10. And I mean, these two drivers, they've been having an up and down season, John, but it's just certain tracks that we go to and you see them put on a great performance. I think they're just going to keep getting better and better. But these two, I expect next season, they're going to be getting race wins.
But you like to see it when drivers are improving steadily. And it's going to be a lot of fun to compete with them on track next season. I want to go back to the point situation right here. With Austin Smith leading and winning helps Corey Crowell. So let's talk about why that happens. If Brandon Puffenbarger wins this race, he gets 3 bonus points plus the bonus point for the pole, and he has the fastest lap of the race now. He gets 5 bonus points if he wins and maintains the fastest lap of the race and the win. So win is 3 points, pole position is a point, fastest lap of the race is a point. When he is P2, he only ends up with 2 bonus points right now. So, and Corey Crowell came into this with an 8-point lead over Brandon Puffenbarger. So that being said, he could stay even with Puffenbarger if Corey Crowell manages to finish 8th. So then at that point, every position further from 8th will be how many points down he is. So if he gets to 15, he'll be 7 points down on Puffenbarger going into next week. But if Puffenbarger wins, Corey Crowell might be looking at 12 points down going into next week. And then drivers like Zach Lockett, as we're going to put the point situation on screen. Driver in 3rd, Zach Lockett's going to have a good opportunity. You know, he's running... but he's running 12th. That's the issue there. Brandon Honeycutt would have had an opportunity, but he's running 10th. So really, the next man up, Andrew Tept in 7th. He has an opportunity where he is. He's running 5 positions ahead of Zach Lockett, 6 positions, 4 ahead of Brandon Honeycutt. He very well could run into the 2nd place position here and be within striking distance of winning the championship. But Corey Crowell's going to need some help, and he's not making up enough ground on 16th and 15th to help himself out. So it's going to be an uphill battle for him next week.
These drivers, this is incredible right now. I mean, they're not making one little mistake, and look at the gap between those two drivers and the rest of the field. I mean, John, I never seen anything like this here. Auto Club, the 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger going to the inside. Is he gonna have the run? It looks like he might have it. He's still gonna be side by side though. He just doesn't get that run that he needs. But I mean, he is trying and trying.
Yeah, Austin Smith got a really good run out of turn 4. I thought he might end up in the wall, but he did an excellent job staying out of it. I think this goes to show that Puffenbarger was hanging on to some speed and he wasn't quite showing it to us. And I need to mention that, excuse me, I thought for a second that we had a new fastest lap of the race, but we did not. It's still Brandon Puffenbarger.
There is the 20th, Corey Carell,
You know,
running 17th right now.
just kicking himself, you know.
Yeah, I mean, look at this 62 Thomas Stanley. He's been also having an up and down season here. And he's running 18th, so he's gonna be side by side right now with the 20 almost. And speaking of the 62, I mean, he has shown the speed. He has shown that he can race around these drivers. He has shown to us that he can win races. It's just that we have to wait and see when the time will come for him to get a win. If it doesn't come this season, I'm sure he will win next season sometime. But the question remains, does the 62 get a win before the end of the season? I don't know. I hope he gets a win. We're going to see how that works out. But the 62 also, John, he has ended up in the catch fence at Indy. He has been barrel rolling. He is trying so hard. And even when he gets in the worst wrecks, the worst, finishing positions, he comes out every week and he does not care. He will keep fighting and fighting until he gets that win.
Well, like other drivers, he's had an up and down season, as Austin Smith is going to kiss the fence right there out of turn 4. Not enough to hurt the machine as he's trying to chase down Brandon Puffenbarger, as we totally missed him get around Austin Smith for the race lead. So Brandon Puffenbarger now to the point, which is not what Corey Crowell wanted to see. So the guy that's closest to you in the championship is not the guy you want to win the race after you make a mistake. So he really needs, if he wants a chance at this championship, his teammate Austin Smith has to win this race. And now Austin Smith is a team player, and who doesn't like to win, as we've talked about already in this race. So he's going to go up there and try it. He's going to give it his best bet. But, Puffenbarger, like I said earlier, has been there all race long. Austin Smith had to drive up there. He did mention pre-race that he was going to hang out in the back for a little bit. I made that note and kind of forgot about it. So he was just kind of hanging on to some speed back there. But just look at these two guys go side by side, 8 laps remaining. This battle is going to keep on right down to the checkered flag.
And John, I think we should go on an onboard view of the 23, see what he sees from the driver view here right now during this battle. As we're riding along here on the 23 machine of Austin John Smith, right in front of him, we have the 5 of the, oh my gosh, I forgot. Brandon Puffenbarger, I don't know what was going on there. I just lost it. But you see that car again, very loose, coming off corner exit. And you see the momentum he's getting, John, going in these turns. I mean, look at him. He's right on the bumper, and he's going to stay high and try the side draft here. Let's see if he does. And listen to his throttle here going into turn number 1.
So it's worth mentioning how much of that tire you can hear right there. They're definitely fighting some worn tires. He's trying to stay in the draft here. He's oh so close, and he could easily make that car turn left and make it appear like he's going to get around that 5 of Brandon Puffenbarger, and then he'll end up in the wall out of turn 4. I think Puffenbarger is going to stretch it away a little bit right here. Well, maybe not. Austin Smith getting a better run out of turn 4 than I was expecting. Let's come back here to Dennis Kane and Andrew Teff. This battle's for 6th. Dennis Kane, up and down year, like you've been trying to say, Daniel, but this is what we've always talked about. He can race with the top 5 drivers. He just hasn't been able to string along the finishes that he needed. And now he's showing that he has the potential to do so. It just hasn't been his year. That he just kind of gets caught up in everything. And then right behind these guys, you got Joshua Neal, Brandon Honeycutt. That's for the 8th place position right here. Honeycutt can pick up some positions. And he needs it.
Any of these drivers that you're mentioning, John, I have no doubt in my mind that next season they're going to at least get wins or compete inside the top 3. because I do believe these drivers, you know, um, they have proven themselves, like you said, but no doubt in my mind, I think the time will come next season for Dennis Kane. So will it for the 13, the 82, the 26. I really think they're going to be legitimate threats next season. I think they're just trying to finish out the season right now, but I know they are putting every effort into it right now, even though they know maybe they're not going to finish the way they want to. But yeah, I think they'll get a win next season.
Corey Crowell again, just kind of driving around 17th place. Just kind of wanted this one to be over so he knows where he's going to stand. These two guys are going at it. And Austin Smith doing everything he can to not only earn the win, but to help his teammate, team owner, Corey Crowell out. Puffenbarger's got to know that Smith needs the win. You expect these guys to be to race aggressively here, and you know, and if you're Puffenbarger, Smith has nothing to lose. I mean, how bad do you want the win? These two guys get collected, and it's a whole new ball game next week. So
I mean, two laps to go. Oh, there goes the 23 of Austin Smith to the inside, and this could be the last run that he could get on the 5. We're gonna be coming to the white flag in a matter of probably 10-15 seconds, and the 5 is still holding off the 23. He's almost there. I mean, this is a heartbreak for the 23. I mean, the 23 has been leading a lot of laps, so has the 5, but that once that 5 got past him, he has been leading nonstop. White flag in the air here at Auto Club, John.
He's gonna have one more shot at it. He's only 1.2 tenths of a second behind him. He's gonna make a dive to the inside on turn number 1. He's gonna have to try to cut him off right here. And I don't think he's gonna have the speed to do it. It might have been, he might have needed to wait and try it out of turn number 4. And now he's a quarter second behind. I think Puffenbarger is going to sail off into the sunset here in California, unless Austin Smith is just going to full send. He's going to try it. It's not going to be enough. Puffenbarger is going to separate himself from Corey Corral with the mistakes that Corral made. He's going to win in Fontana, and he's going to be your favorite going into the playoffs next. We are then to the championship race next week. Kinsley Smith is going to be P3. Gordon Spain is going to be 4th. John Schoenbachler, Dennis Kane is going to prevail in that battle with Brandon Honeycutt. Joshua Neal, Jeremy Carter are going to race all the way back to the line right here. Neal's in front. Carter is going to be right behind him. Andrew Tept is there, as well as Michael Smith. Zach Lockett. Corey Crowell crossing 17th.
And if you want my honest opinion, John, I think the 23 should have stayed on the bumper until he got to turn 3 and 4. I feel like if he stayed there with him until turn 4, then made that move, I think he could have gotten that run if he tried it. I don't know if he would or not, but I don't know. I just feel like he would have a better shot at it coming off of turn number 4, making that move than turn number 2. I think it went a little too early. Unfortunately, that's the way it played out tonight. But the 5 brand Puffenbarger, man, I wasn't expecting him to win tonight. I was expecting the 20 of Corey Corral, but once he got that pit penalty there, speeding off pit road, a lot of things changed, and you had the 23 leading, and then all of a sudden they were battling with the 5, and that 5 got the lead from him, hasn't left the lead since. So great racing going all around. I think it's time for interviews. John, what do you think?
Most definitely. Daniel, it's your turn to go ahead and grab that race winner, and since you didn't expect him, you'll get to interview him and see how he's feeling. He's made up a lot of ground. I'm sure he'll be thrilled.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be thrilled too, as we are gonna bring in our first place driver, Brandon Puffenbarger. Give me one moment here. Move to the booth. Hey, Brandon, it's Jonathan Leach and Daniel Paulson, the Sim Racing Media Broadcast. But if you got a copy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, well, I wasn't expecting you to win tonight, but man, did things go your way here tonight. Please explain to us fans and broadcasters what was going through your mind there from the start of the race to the finish of the race.
Just keep it up front as best as I could. I mean, I was pretty cool the first run, but then as soon as Austin got up there with me and Corey, I knew I had to keep myself in between those two, or it was gonna be trouble for me. But it was a great race between the three of us. Corey said he was speeding at after that last pit stop, so that kind of sucks. But it was a great race in all.
Well, I interviewed drivers before qualifying, and they said they prefer the high lane, and that's the best lane to use here at Auto Club. And they also mentioned that it takes 2 to 4 laps till that grip starts coming in. Is that what you were going through tonight? Were you using that high line? Was that the preferred line? And did the grip come in after 2 to 4 laps?
The grip did come in after it was like lap 3 for me that it came in, and later in the run, the high line was the best line to use. I was just using it, trying to aero block a little bit, just trying to stay off front of Austin there at the end. But yeah, if you could stay up high and keep your momentum up, it was going to be hard to make someone pass you on the low side.
All right. Well, congratulations, my friend, on winning here on the 2 Mile Oval from Auto Club. And we'll see you next week. Do you have anybody that you would like to thank before you go?
You guys for putting on the show, Andrew and the guys for putting on the league, everybody for coming out, Airborne Graphics for painting my new ride that I debuted tonight. That's about it.
All right. Well, congratulations. We'll see you next week here on Racers Elite.
10-4.
Well, now, Daniel, it's time to get with Austin Smith, who tried to win this race and, really help out his teammate Corey Crow, which the damage wasn't quite as bad as I expected, minus bonus points. But with the bonus points, it's a little bit bigger of a gap, I might say. It's gonna be a bit of a swing, but it won't be insurmountable. But Corey Crow is gonna, have to be the man next week.
Yeah, and speaking of that, what how about we bring in Corey Carell, Jonathan?
Oh, I'm looking for P2. We're gonna talk with Corey by the end of this one. Let's go ahead and bring his teammate and P2 runner-up finisher Austin Smith to the booth. Austin, I'm sure as that race was kind of winding down, you're trying to win not only for yourself but to help your teammate out. What do you think he could have done differently in the last 2 laps to maybe have gotten back around Brandon Puffenbarger? And do you think you just used up too much tire in the last run and that's how he got around you? Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, I don't think I used up too much tire. I think that I could have set it up a little bit better. I tried to pass him on that last lap in 1 and 2, and I probably should have waited until 3 and 4 to try to drive it in a little deeper. Because at that point, I didn't have a run down the backstretch. That high side was so much faster in 1 and 2. So that was just my bad. I set it up poorly, but yeah, I hate it for my teammate and Corey, and just made a little mistake, just trying to get a little too much on pit road, and obviously that cost him a lot. But yeah, I was trying to do everything I could to try to help him around Puff, and I was trying to win the race so that Puff wouldn't get those bonus points. But yeah, kind of failed there. But man, that was some of the best racing that I've ever been a part of on the iRacing service.
Great race, fast race, green to checker. I've never been a part of a season with 2 green to checker finishes. Just outstanding. It would have been nice to get a caution. Told everybody we'll be doing caution interviews, and that just did not happen tonight. I think the last time I said that, it went green to checker. And, and here we are again. But, those bonus points are really going to help Brandon Puffenbarger and hurt Corey Crow. As Puffenbarger got them all. He got the 3 for winning, the pole position, and the fastest lap. So, that's a big jump. But what helps Corey is he came in with an 8-point gap. And he's going to be a little worse than that, I believe, going into next week. But just phenomenal racing. Now the floor is yours. Anyone else you'd like to mention or thank?
Yeah, just need to shout out to Brandon, man. He ran a great race. He did everything that he needed to do tonight to put him in a good spot for next week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. Should be a good race. I'm kind of out of contention, so I'm just kind of all hands on deck trying to get my team the best finishes that we can. Need to shout out, thank you to my team, and thank you guys, SRM, for broadcasting. And then Andrew at Racers Elite and everybody that puts this thing on. It's so much fun. But I'm going to hop over, go watch the duels, and see what happens there.
All right, Austin. Have a great night. We'll be looking to talk to you next week, I'm sure. I hope you enjoy your evening.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll see ya. All right, Daniel. Next driver we're gonna talk to is gonna be Kinsley Smith. Kinsley Smith is now in the booth with you, Daniel. He finishes P3. Is most definitely gonna help his championship hopes. Go ahead.
Well, Kinsley Smith, I'm pretty sure you weren't thinking of getting a top 3 now, were you, tonight?
Most certainly was not.
Well, how was the race environment tonight? How was the draft? What line did you prefer, and how was the grip level tonight?
Grip level going into the corners was pretty good. Coming out was where it got a little tricky, especially in 4. Coming out of 4, I got loose at least 2 or 3 times. But preferred line was really bottom in 1 and 2 majority of the time until the tires got super slick, and then kind of had to move a little to the top to be able to just keep control of the car. And then 3 and 4, it was just bottom all night for me. I just didn't feel fast up top.
All right, and now that Auto Club is out of the way, what are your expectations for the remainder of the season? Because I know the season is going to be coming to an end very, very soon. What are your goals for the season that's left here?
Just to get a good finish, really. I think it's Chicagoland, so I'm pretty familiar with Chicagoland, so I'm hoping to just get a good finish. Top 10's fine. I think I'm out of the championship race because of Talladega last week, but yeah, just a good finish at Chicagoland is all I'm looking forward. Just getting a little bit of momentum going into next season.
All right, and do you have anybody you would like to thank?
First, my wife and daughter for just being there and being my rock and giving me the opportunity to do this. And then my team, Driving Extreme Inc. We're working real good together, and we're all putting up good finishes. And then, of course, you guys for putting on the show, and Andrew for throwing the lead together.
Well, congratulations on getting a podium finish here tonight from Auto Club, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, there's only one more person that I would like to talk to if he is available. Yep. That's going to be Corey Corral.
Heartbreaker for him.
Yeah, he's joining us in the booth now. Whether he wants to or not, Corey, Jonathan, and Daniel in the booth. We saw what happened. You're a bit dejected. What's your side of the story?
Yeah, I thought I seen Puffenberger coming out, so I punched it thinking that I already cleared the line or was right at the line. That was not. So stupid mistake. I mean, I was pretty content being right behind him. We were even. We'd kind of battle for the lead, so took myself out of that chance to win. It sucks, but I definitely got work to do next week, though.
Gonna have work to do indeed. Puffenbarger walked away with all the bonus points tonight. And, you know, the gap between you and him finishing first, you 17th. You're not out of the woods. Stick around. We'll be going over the points once we're done speaking with you. But, you know, you guys, you, Austin Smith, Puffenbarger, and for a while, Gordon Spain, y'all are really trading back and forth for the first half of this race. What do you think allowed you guys to all kind of stay together for the first 50 laps or so?
You know, I don't know if it was the draft was kind of keeping us close, but yeah, I mean, we were all pretty even. It was by far the funnest race I've ever ran, although it didn't play out the way I wanted it. It was still fun. Even in the back, racing with Thomas Stanley, I mean, that was fun itself. I knew I had to keep him behind me just to minimize as much damage as I could. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to see not just one person way out there. I mean, there was 3-4 of us. It was good racing.
I thought it was a phenomenal race. I'm looking forward to being a part of it next season. So I tell you what, guy work it out for you. I'll have to watch it. I won't be calling it. I'll be watching it. So
Yeah.
that it ought to be pretty entertaining. But Corey, anyone else you want to mention? We're going to let you go, and then we're going to talk about the points.
Yeah, you guys for broadcasting it. Racers Elite for the league. Teammates at Midwest Motorsports, they always help each other out. It's good. I want to say appreciate Puffenbarger for racing clean, Gordon Spain racing clean, and Zach Lockett racing clean there. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Corey, hopefully we'll be talking to you next week for at least one reason, maybe two, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, thanks.
All right, Daniel. You know, it really was a absolute awesome evening. I can't believe how fast this race went. You know,
Yeah.
8
it
out
did.
of the top 10 cars, once again, were playoff cars, minus Zach Lockett, Corey Crowell, and then Alex Teft, who finished last. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the points. This was the points before tonight's race. Corey Crowell on top, Puffenbarger, Zach Lockett. Now, without bonus points, Brandon Puffenbarger climbs the ladder to P1 with a 6-point gap over Corey Crowell. He has 3 bonus points for winning the race. He earned a point for the fastest lap, and he earned a point for the pole. So Corey Crowell has his work cut out for him. You know, he's got an 11-point gap going into next week. So, you know, 3 more points. It's going to put him at 2168. 1 more, 2169. Brandon Puffenbarger should be at 2,170 points. And looking at this right here, I'm going to assume Corey Crowell is the only driver who can catch him without him having a major problem next week. Corey's going to he needs to win the race, collect all the bonus points to get that gap down back to 6 points. Then he needs to finish 6 positions in front of Brandon Puffenbarger. So Puffenbarger can't finish any better than 7th, and Corey pretty much has to win the race. Tall order.
Yeah, it's a big hole, I must say, for the 20th Corey Corral. Very unfortunate for him tonight, but a lot of these drivers did put on a great performance here. I did expect to see a lot of playoff drivers compete inside the top 10. We saw that. We saw Zach Lockett do well. We saw a lot of drivers do well that weren't in the playoffs, that were inside top 10 here and there. So I expect to see that next week as well.
Absolutely. Oh my God, I'm not saying it. Here we go. Race results. Brandon Puffenbarger P1 after an outstanding last 20-lap battle with Austin Smith, the runner-up. Kinsley Smith surprises himself, finishing 3rd. Schoenbachler and Gordon Spain both performed better than expected, finishing 4th and 5th respectively. But Gordon Spain really had a lot of speed tonight. He was a contender for OG Racing. Chicken Coop Racing's got their first driver up front here, you know, being Dennis Kane, showing that he can do it. Finally gets a good finish as the speed is there. Brandon Honeycutt, Joshua Neal, and Jeremy Carter with Andrew Teff to round out the top 10. Michael Smith, Zach Lockett, Michael Brooks, 11th through 13th. Brandon Sanfilippo, that odd pit road incident, he hits that barrier with next to no damage, and he's able to continue on, just a slower pit stop. Dwayne McMahon struggled early, does finish 15th. 16th is Dakota Bly. Corey Corral, 17th. We talked to him and got his side of things. Thomas Stanley is 18th. No catch fence for him this race, but you never know about next race. Ruth Hoke is 19th. Noah Tansman's 20th. 21st is Marshall Harris, who was running really well. I'm not quite sure what caused Harris to finish 21st. And running up the end of the field is Alex Teft in the 43 machine, 64 laps down. Not certain what caused him to pull that car in and then not continue the race. So that's it here from Auto Club Speedway out in California. It's been a wonderful race, fast race, 1 hour and about 15 minutes race time. We've had a long post race talking about looking ahead into next week. We're going to do that one more time. We're going into Chicagoland, a track that Daniel, you like a lot. And fun fact, I got my first iRacing win at Chicagoland. It was in the trucks like 4 years ago. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that race is going to go down. And, it's going to be a battle between Puffenbarger and Corey Corral. And unless Puffenbarger crashes early and is out of the race, it's going to be those guys. And again, it's going to be fun.
I'll be honest with you. I think Chicagoland's going to have great battles. It's going to be just like Auto Club. We're going to see drivers use that high line. We're going to see drivers use that low line. We're probably going to see some dive bombs too, probably. Not wreck each other, though. Probably going to see them side draft very hardly, though, to get a position by another driver. And a fun fact, John, my first win did actually come at Chicagoland too, but it was in the Xfinity Series. And Chicago's a really great track to race at. I wish they actually went back to it in real life. We're just gonna have to wait and see how next week goes, but I think they're gonna put on a heck of a show next week, same way they're gonna do today. So yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be a night race is what I'm showing right now. Night race at Chicagoland for the season finale. That's next Thursday. It's going to be 134 laps, and I will not get to be here. Michael DeMoney is going to be back to call the race with you, Daniel. The voice that everybody is awfully familiar with, for the most part, had been the primary voice of the Racers Elite series across the board. So he's going to have an outstanding week. He's going to call the Tuesday Truck Series finale at Vegas. Dave Regal will be back with Alan Bergen on Wednesday to call the finale at Chicagoland. And then the money will be here with you Thursday for the finale for the Nextgen Series at Chicagoland. Alan Bergen might be a part of the pre-race special as y'all recap the season. Last thing to say is,
he will.
And last thing to say, as the great Tony Trapasso says, ladies, gentlemen, as you walk through life, please do not play in traffic. We'll see you next time. Good night.